Welcome to the Explainer. The modern world, and especially AI, is absolutely ravenous for energy. So today, we are diving deep into Bloom Energy's 2025 financials. We're going to see how this one company is tapping into that massive demand, and spoiler alert, they posted some truly record-breaking results that might just signal a huge shift in the energy landscape.
Okay, before we jump in, just the usual quick reminder, this is all for educational purposes. It is not financial advice. We're just here to break down the information they published and make sense of it all.
All right, here's the game plan. We're going to start with the big, flashy headlines from their record-breaking 2025. Then we'll dig into what drove that growth. We're talking soaring demand and some really smart financial moves. And finally, we'll look ahead at their pretty ambitious plans for 2026.
So let's cut right to the chase. 2025 was an absolute monster of a year for Bloom Energy. I mean, they didn't just have a good year. They shattered their own records and really rewrote their entire financial story.
The company's CEO, K.R. Sridhar, he really nails it with this quote. What he's saying is that for the biggest players in the tech world, these AI hyperscalers, having their own dedicated, reliable power is no longer a nice-to-have, it's now an absolute must-have. This is a massive shift in the market, and Bloom is positioned right in the heart of it.
The company itself calls 2025 transformational. And this isn't just hype. It's not just about selling more. It's about becoming a fundamentally stable, healthy company. They hit record revenues, sure, but what's really key is that for the second year in a row, they generated positive cash flow from their operations. That means more money came in than went out just from running the business. That's a huge milestone.
Okay, so how do they actually pull this off? Well, let's look at the first piece of the puzzle. A straight-up explosion in both their revenue and the demand for what they sell. The very first number that just jumps off the page is this one, 37.3%. That's not just steady growth, folks. That's a massive revenue increase in just 1 year. It really shows you how much the market is buying into their solution.
And this really puts that percentage into hard numbers. I mean, look at that leap. They went from just under $1.5 billion to over $2 billion. That's more than $500 million in new revenue in just 12 months. That's a huge, huge jump.
So where did all that new business come from? The report is pretty clear about it. The main driver was the absolutely insatiable demand for power coming from the AI and data center industry. I mean, these buildings are the engines of our digital world, and they need a staggering amount of electricity. And believe it or not, it seems like this is just getting started. The company's product backlog, which is a fantastic predictor of future sales, it grew by 2.5 times. So what does that actually mean for the business? Well, this is where things get really exciting from an investor's point of view. A product backlog isn't just a wish list. These are signed contracts. It's basically guaranteed future revenue that's already on the books. So to see that number multiply by 2.5x, that's a massive sign of confidence from the market that's locking in their sales pipeline for the future. But huge sales are only one part of the equation. The real test of a great company is how much money it actually keeps. And in 2025, Bloom Energy didn't just get bigger, they got a whole lot smarter and way more efficient. And this gets us to a really important business concept called operational leverage. The easiest way to think about it is this. As your sales go up, your profits go up even faster. Why? Because your core costs aren't growing at the same speed. It's the sign of a mature company that's really figured out how to scale efficiently. And here is the proof in the pudding. Look at these numbers. Their gross margin, which is basically the profit on each thing they sell, it went up. That's great. But the real story is the operating margin. That's the profit after all the day-to-day costs of running the entire company. It more than doubled. That right there is operational leverage in action. They're turning into a profit-making machine.
And management is basically telling us this was no accident. The company's financial leadership says this is all thanks to a laser focus on the fundamentals, making their product for less money, running the business more leanly, and just being disciplined. It's that unglamorous, behind-the-scenes work that builds a truly powerful company.
So, 2025 was obviously their breakout year. The billion-dollar question, though, is, can they keep it up? Let's take a look at what they're projecting for 2026. And wow, their forecast is nothing short audacious. They aren't just predicting more growth, they're predicting it will accelerate. They're projecting a jump from $2 billion in revenue to over $3 billion. And remember that operating income we just talked about? They expect to more than double it again. That is a massive statement of confidence. So what this guidance really tells us is that, in the company's eyes, 2025 wasn't a one-hit wonder.
They see it as the launchpad for a whole new era of sustained high-octane growth. And that really leaves us with one big final thought. The demand for power from things like AI is absolutely exploding, right? And that trend shows zero signs of slowing down. So is Bloom's entire strategy of providing clean, reliable, on-site power putting them in the perfect position to become a key player in, well, powering the entire future of technology? Hey, if you found this deep dive into Bloom's big year helpful, do me a favor and hit that like button. And be sure to subscribe for more explainers on the companies and trends that are shaping our world.
Thanks for watching.